Oh, the internet. Anything you want to know at any time, you can just look it up for free. You ever been stuck on a really hard boss and you're not sure how to beat it?
The fuck was that?
Yeah, you can just watch a video of somebody doing it. Are you trying to solve a puzzle? You don't really know what you're doing?
You have managed to ensnare yourself permanently inside this room.
You could just look up a walkthrough. Compared to how we live right now, growing up in the mid-2000s was really interesting. For one, not everybody had a smartphone that they could just pull out whenever they wanted to know something. Sometimes you would go over to a friend's house and they wouldn't even have a computer. You couldn't sit around and watch videos or go on a social media platform and talk about games there. The only thing you could do was go to school and actually talk to people in person about it. And you better believe my greasy gamer child ass would do that every day. I would talk about video games to people who didn't even know anything about video games, because sometimes I thought that they might know somebody who might know video games and I could talk to them. Yeah, I was a pretty lonely kid. Anyway, as I'm sure you could imagine, this gave way to an unfathomable number of rumors. I'm sure you're familiar with some of the more popular video game hoaxes, like trying to unlock Luigi in Mario 64, and by extension Waluigi in Mario 64 DS. The Golden Warthog in Halo was another pretty common one. Everybody had some kind of super special secret way to get a ray gun every time you used the mystery box in World at War Zombies. Yep, that's right. You just gotta hold X right when the question marks glow and do like a 1080 spin and shove the gun up your ass, and there you go. You get a ray gun every time. Anyway, I thought it'd be fun to share some of my memories as a kid. So the first lie/rumor that I vividly remember has to do with the game Majora's Mask. Now, if you've poked around my channel at all, I'm sure you could probably gather that I like the game, and you better believe I was talking about it non-stop at school. Anyway, some kid came up and told me that not only did he have a copy of Majora's Mask on PlayStation Portable, he said that you could stick a GameCube disc inside a PSP case and that it was compatible. He said that there were exclusive features to the PlayStation Portable version of the games. And one of these features, he told me, was a dedicated cheat menu. He said that if you enter this menu, you could put in codes for all kinds of things. Unlimited rupees, infinite health, stuff like that. And the most vivid one I can remember, he said if you go to this screen and type in the code Crazy Boo Man, Tattle, your helper fairy, will be replaced with Boo from Super Mario 64. Now obviously I called him out on it. I told him that didn't exist and, it was all a lie. And he said, oh no, you don't understand, I have it. And he broke out a pen and paper and he wrote down all of these codes for me to try for myself. He said, maybe there is a way to get to that menu in the GameCube version. I just know what I have on PSP. It actually just so happens that years later, a exploit would be found that could open up a debug menu in Majora's Mask. So in a way, this menu did exist. Just not at all in the way that kid told me it did. Let's talk about Tetris Attack. So if you've never heard of it, Tetris Attack is basically a port of Puyo Puyo Pop, but with a Yoshi skin over it. Anyway, there's a single player mode, and this allows you to go up against a bunch of different bosses. Basically, after you defeat an enemy in the single player mode, you can actually unlock them and play as them in the two-player versus mode. Well, somebody told me that if you go onto a certain screen and put in a button combination, you could actually play as one of the characters early, and that was Bowser. Believe it or not, there actually is a button combination that unlocks all the boss characters immediately, but it was not the combination he was talking about. Let's talk about Smash Bros. Rumors. I'm sure we've all fell victim to one of these. A character that you can't actually unlock, a stage that isn't there. Well, I deadass had a kid in my school who told me that there was an unlockable move for Ness in Smash Bros. Brawl. He said the name of the move was PK Kabomb, and that it would replace his side smash, so instead of swinging his baseball bat, he would put an energy ball into his hand, basically like how Mario does his fireball, but he said that this was from Ness. The rumors at my school went beyond just secret features and hidden stuff in other games. I had people telling me that they had early copies of games too. Black Ops was coming out, and I had a friend who swore up and down that his dad worked for Microsoft and he had an early copy of Modern Warfare 3. Yeah, spoiler for like a 10-year-old game. He said that not only was Ghost still alive in Modern Warfare 3, but that Gaz was alive too. Around this time, there was a lot of people who thought that Simon Ghost Riley would come back for Modern Warfare 3. It didn't really look like he died to some people in Modern Warfare 2. And I was really falling for that one. But Gaz? From COD 4? The guy that straight up gets domed? Like you see it in everything? I couldn't believe that one. All of this unreliable information meant that the times I could get on the internet were quite special. I distinctly remember going to websites like Cheat Planet, Cheat CC, and GameFAQs, and I would print off codes for my favorite games. Sometimes I would just look up a YouTube video and see if I could get any cheats from there. And you'd get those classic Windows Movie Maker tutorials. Now it's not like everything was perfect. You could still, of course, find fake codes. Luckily these days it's not nearly as big as a problem as it was back then, but you can still find some if you know where to look. You guys ever hear of the game Rampage? There's quite a few games in this series, but the one that I remember is Rampage World Tour on the Nintendo 64. This game was so fucking cool. Jumping around as big-ass monsters, busting down buildings, gobbling up people on the streets. One of my favorite things about this game was the ability to play as 3 players simultaneously. You could either work together to destroy the city as fast as possible, or you could be an asshole and try to steal all the points. Believe it or not, there's actually quite a few secrets in this game, and it has over 130 levels to play. You also get bonus modes, and a bunch of secret power-ups. You've got your standard stuff, like certain items that you eat giving you more points, or getting more time to play in the levels. But then you have another 3 power-ups that will insanely spike your character's power level. Picking up this boxing glove will give you the ability to straight up punch through an entire floor. The hot loogie allows you to spit fire and burn down an entire building in one go. And by far, the coolest power-up ever, Death Breath. Pressing the kick button will unleash a roar that tears down everything on the screen. So fucking awesome. This is one of those games that you know has some good secrets or cheats in it. And sure enough, it does. There's a lot of really weird and specific button combos you can put in to do a bunch of different things. Like you can get rid of all the food that makes you sick in a level, or you can just change it so that any food that would make you sick is actually digested normally. You can skip forward 10 days, which is pretty useful as you probably don't want to play through all 129 levels in the base game. And probably the most useful one of all is just a straight up level select code. This allows you to change the city and continent to whatever you want. You can even go to the bonus stages by doing this. But for all of the cool and useful secrets and cheat codes you can find online about this game, there is one that pops up everywhere and I don't understand why. Play as Tyrannosaurus Rex. Beat all levels, then start a new game. Then on the character selection screen, highlight Lizzie. Now hold Z and tap L and R repeatedly. If you've entered the code correctly, you will hear a scream. This is fake! And what's so weird about this is that this code is literally the first result on Google when you search for Rampage World Tour cheats. IGN has this fake code, CheatCC.com has this fake code, AbsoluteCheats.com also has it, and then there's this website here, neoseeker.com. In fact, they actually have 2 fake codes saying that you can play as one of the boss characters. Now there is a 4th character you can play as, but it's a temporary upgrade. It's not like you can just go around and always play as him. I was actually really curious about this so-called T-Rex character, so I decided to look at the other games in the series. So in the sequel to this game, Rampage 2, you can actually play as 9 different characters. Aside from the original 3, you can also play as Boris, a giant rhino, Curtis, a mouse monster, and probably most interestingly, Ruby, who's a lobster. You could also unlock 3 Cyclops aliens to play in this game. Their names are Mucus, Nubus, and Pucus. So, in other words, there is no T-Rex. Another one of my favorite hoaxes as a kid was the idea that there was a hidden scarab gun in Halo Reach. This whole thing stems from one video on YouTube with about 800,000 views. It's a super crusty, low quality video. So using a glitch, this guy gets outside of the map on the level tip of the spear. He's able to use a Banshee to roll past an energy shield, and then he takes it up and flies it up towards this UNSC ship. Apparently, you do a secret button up at the top here, and then a scarab gun spawns for you. And then, of course, a conveniently placed picture of Cortana covers 1/3 of the screen. It's not entirely known how this video is faked. Some people think that he used a mod menu, but I doubt that. I think what actually happened here is he just had somebody in co-op, and he put up this picture to make sure that you couldn't see them respawn. He actually got a lot of blowback for this in the comments section, and approximately 3 months later, somebody would upload a video of themselves doing the glitch, flying all the way out there, and showing that it was not real. These hate comments are funny. Seems like most of these viewers are pretty unimpressed, seeing as he didn't actually show himself firing it. There's also this weird argument going on about mystic difficulty and using golden skulls. I don't really know what all that's about. Something I always found really odd is that there are several people in the comments who claim to see dead bodies. This user even provided a timestamp. Is this what he's talking about? Is this supposed to be the leg that's poking out? Looking at the debunking video doesn't do much to help either, as the quality is still pretty bad. Well, after some fooling around with the PC version of the game, I managed to get myself back to this exact same spot. And I can confirm that it is in fact not a leg poking out. It's actually just a weird unfinished texture.